YouTube. Once again, thank you guys for your support. I really appreciate this. This is the second part of a three-part series I'm going to do, which is the Rushing Academy. My patrons are going to have all of this in advance, but I just wanted to give you a heads up. This is something that I've had requests to do by my subscribers previously. I did this a couple years ago. I figured I'd do it again here for Madden 21. We're going to talk about some of the power runs, the counters, and the trap play. Basically, these are pulling linemen with this particular running play, and how you read your blocks and what direction, where you go ahead and aim for as far as your holes are concerned. So we're going to take a look at the pulling linemen with the traps, the counter, and the power L. And I think I'm going to start off with the power L, because power O's, the power running plays where we have a pulling guard going up by the tackles, is a very effective run and has been for quite a long time. I've had fairly good success with it. If you guys are new to my channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, also that notification icon, so you can never miss an upload. So let's go ahead and take a look at the power O. Is one of our base runs. These are essentially how the runs are actually set up. What you got is a guard that's going to pull and provide an extra blocker. So there is going to be a gap in the line, but the tackle essentially try to close that up, and that means you're going to get an extra blocker to go ahead and really dominate one side or the other. The power O, halfback base, split O, these plays have been very effective in previous Maddens and were kind of staple adjustments. There's one time when power O's were really a great play to run against a lot of the meta defenses. They're a little bit toned down, but they're still fairly effective. I have had some pretty good success with power O's. In particular, actually flipping the play, going against the opposite direction. I find that they're more effective than the counter plays. We'll take a look at some counter plays and then jump into power O's again and just show you the difference between the two. And then we'll take a look at the O1 trap. So let's just talk about the fundamentals of the power O. First and foremost, the power O is using running back out of a variety of offensive formations. It typically includes two running backs, or it's going to be a single back, and you're going to have basically a pulling guard. Now, power O uses two lead blockers or one blocker, and the fullback and the backside offensive guard. If you take a look at the power O in the middle right there, you have that guard pulling and you get the fullback actually sealing for you. A typical blocking scheme, the power O is for the lineman to block, to down block the man in their inside gap, and the fullback will kick out block the last man in the line of scrimmage. The backside guard will pull and lead up either into the guard or tackle hole, and the tackle and tight end hole, and block for the remainder linebacker and defensive back. So the principle of the play is to outnumber a defense at a point of attack, and the tailback must read the guard block or run off of that. Teams at all levels using this base running play, and pretty much everybody's using this as a base play in the running offense, and this play is typically found out of I forms and I form type formations. I don't really have a lot of I forms in this playbook I'm using the Chiefs, but you'll see this concept in play, and I'll show you exactly how I read it when I'm playing Madden. And I'm going to run this against basically, random 34 defenses to give different type of base alignments. All right, so we've got a pulling guard. Now, I'll show you that you see how that linebacker's in the guard position. That's going to essentially give me a 2-on-1 with the pulling guard, so there's a chance that this play is going to get blown up in the backfield. But doesn't necessarily do that. The guard doesn't actually react to it. But let's go ahead and take a look at the running lanes with this. So this guard I know is going to pull. It's pulling. And what I'm hoping is that this guy doesn't shoot the gap, and he just kind of sits there. He doesn't act. So this is a little bit. This is kind of like Madden being a little bit unrealistic. You guy actually doesn't react at all. He kind of sits and actually gets him completely out of position. Now, me with the running back, all I do is just follow the pulling guard. And what I read when I do power O's, what I read in particular is the off tackle. So the direction I'm running, I'm watching the tackle, and the tackle's really going to tell me where I want to go with the ball. So if he blocks out, so in other words, he kicks out to defender out to the outside, typically it means I'm going to go to the outside. If the tackle actually pulls up and takes on the linebacker at the next level, that means I'm going to go ahead and turn the ball up to the inside. That's how I read power O's, and historically I've read power O's, and I find that I'm very efficient with my running power O's if I just read that tackle and not read anybody else. Once again, we're going to watch. We got a really heavy side off to the right hand side, but we're going to watch that tackle. That tackle essentially is going to give us a read, and the tackle's telling me to cut this thing back in. If he stays in, I'm going to go ahead and cut it in. So got a red box here. Looks like there's a lot of hats. We're going to watch the tackle. Tackle's telling me to cut this thing in, and I'll show you what I was looking at as far as my reads and why this actually lined up the way it did. So what I'm looking at is this tackle right here. So wherever the run is going, I'm watching a tackle, and I'm watching which direction he goes. You see how he cuts in and he double teams? I'm going to cut back in because there's going to be a crease and a hole for me that I'm going to be able to go and run behind. So I don't stretch it out wide. And if you saw, if I stretch it out wide, there's 3 defenders, or actually 5 defenders for basically 4 blockers. I can't cut this out because this defender's coming down with the edge, and the tackle's telling me to take this inside. So that's the direction I go with it with the power O. So got a base play, not a play I like to run too much, but he's telling me to go ahead and cut it in, and that's why I was able to pick up 5 yards. Now, another thing that I've discovered is that with a power O, we'll take a look at counters, but I can tell you that I find that if you flip the play the opposite direction with a power O, I find that historically they block a little bit better than a counter. So we'll take a look at counters next, but I just want to show you that a lot of times what happens is that you can catch your opponent off for a big play opportunity. So that was just perfect. You know, I just basically jumped into it, and I'll just show you what I'm looking at. In a heavy formation like this, a lot of people are going to be stacking this side. And what, you know, basically all I'm going to do is I'm going to watch a tackle and tell me where I'm going to block. See how he actually gets out, he gets positioning where he takes the guy and he turns him off. I'm going to try to run inside that, and I know this guard is pulling, so if I got a linebacker that's going to come down and play that position, that he's going to pick that guy up, and I'm just going to run behind the lane that's provided. This defender actually goes and sets the edge and giving me an opportunity for a huge play. So back to turning this, flipping the power O to the opposite side, and all I'm going to do is just go ahead and turn this up. So I'm turning this run into a better running play just by flipping it. Now obviously in a shotgun formation you can't flip it, so you're kind of stuck running it stock. So that's one of the bad things about running a shotgun where you're offset. You can't flip it the other way. And also these auto motions too, you can't flip the other way too, so that kind of limits things. But you know, it's good to have these type of plays into your scheme, but they're not necessarily the best. So power O's, watch tackle, that's going to be really what you want to do. You can flip it to the opposite side to catch your opponent off guard. And sometimes you can actually go ahead and get some huge plays with the run. I would definitely suggest maybe going ahead and using some power O's and actually flipping it and trying to create a counter out of the power O. So let's go ahead and jump into the counters now, because counters have been really OP in Madden past, where they were just like very glitchy, where it was like easy yards. They're a little bit toned down, but they still have a lot of the fundamentals as far as reading your block when it comes to running these plays. So let's go ahead and take a look at counters. All right, so with a counter play, once again, the running back will start in one direction and then go the opposite direction. And what happens is that the blocking assignments, sometimes you'll get a double blocking assignment, or you'll get basically a single assignment, or you'll get basically you know, a running back or a fullback that actually block for you on the backside. My personal preference is I don't really like counters too much. I would say that from a ranking standpoint, I probably wouldn't use these too much, because I've tested a lot of counters. They're not as effective as they used to be. But let's just go into the lab and see, well, how's the most effective way to use a counter. And it might be something good to sprinkle into your scheme, but it's not a running play that you should spam. Now, a counter run is running the ball where the running back will take one step to the opposite direction of a play, only to get the handoff going the other way. The weak side lineman will sometimes pull and lead block down the field, sometimes called the counter trap. And the play is designed to get the defense flow from one action for a few steps, allowing better blocking by the offensive line and more room for the running back. Now, the purpose of the counter run is to keep defenses honest and prevent them from easily being able to pursue the play aggressively. And it's most effective against defenses that tend to over pursue and can be used and its own potential to produce big running plays against defenses that get out of position or fail to stay home. So like I showed you previously with the power O and actually flipping it, it works like a counter. And this is a good way to go and do this. Now, looking at this alignment, I don't think that we have enough basically enough blocking to go ahead and defend this. But really what we're going to do with a counter is we're going to watch the tackle, and it's going to determine which way we're going to go with the ball. Now, the tackle actually kicked everything out and provided a big hole. And then if you take a look at it, this guard actually took, I think, this one defender and actually it pushed him back. So the CPU just kind of gave it up. So what happened is the defensive end, or this defensive tackle right here, just assumed that he was taking the ball this way, but he got himself out of position. And when I got action with the running back, as you can see right here, I had a huge hole right there. So if I had quicker action with the running back, I probably would have been able to pick up some pretty good situation. And if this is the user guy, he might have been out of position. So I still picked up some pretty good yards right there. 5 yards on a run is always a win. Problem once again with the counter and with anything in a shotgun formation is that you can't flip it away from the weakness of the ball, but really all you're going to do is you're just going to try to go ahead and run right in there. So I got a good animation. He missed the tackle, but this would be a play I'd actually would check out of. I would definitely check out of this one right now because I've got too many people over there. But you can see where the blocking kind of messes up the assignments. And I think what you want to do is you want to try not to get tied up into the animation. So in previous Maddens, you would have control of the running back a little bit quicker, but this he gets pulled into this little out and up animation, and that's the only thing I don't like about the counter. But you can get a good running lane with it. So as long as you don't have on the counterplay, you don't have a defender that's going as on the edge. You have two defenders on the lineman, the left tackle position. You should be able to go ahead and pick up some good yards. So this is good if someone's shifting their line or they have a single lineman over there, you can get away with it. But as you can see right here, I'm not really getting a lot of opportunities. I try to cut that back in with the anticipation that the lineman wouldn't come out, and it doesn't seem to be available for me. So let's just jump into another defense really quick to show you how the counter could be effective if you have the right defense you're going against. All right, so I'm going to go against basically a dime package, and you can see right now I've got basically a green box. And I've got a couple pulling linemen off to the right, but we're going to watch that tackle, and he's going to tell me where I'm going to go with this counter. So he went massively on the inside, and that means I'm just going to run right up to the inside with this particular play. Same situation right here. Goes to the inside and try to cut that back off to the inside, but I got myself pulled off to the left. Once again, counter play right here. And he's telling me to go ahead and run up that tackle. So I try to run behind the tackle to where the run side is. He's generally going to he's going to tell me which direction I want to go with it to optimize my running lanes. Let's see right here. Guys coming down into the box. So we got basically guys coming down into the box right there. I've got a bunch of pulling guards, and you can see how the lane. Now the problem with this particular play, this counter play, and I just want to make an observation for you guys, and one of the reasons why I don't use counters in my scheme is that this guy gets tied into this goofy animation and gets my running back out of position. So it's like he bounces a little bit and he doesn't get the ball. He gets the ball right here, and by that time defenders have already penetrated. This guy's coming through, and I'm running on this kind of an angle. I'm going this way as far as my run angle, and it's hard for me to cut up, even though that when I finally got control of the running back right here, I was able to cut it up and actually get some good yards. I just find that you don't have instantaneous control with the running back, and a lot of times it just gets you out of position. So right there you can see how the defender actually comes down, and I really don't have enough time to react because he's already in my face. So I would say of the power running plays, this is probably one of the weakest running plays to use. There are, you can get away with a counter in your scheme, but I would not sprinkle this in on a regular basis. There's just a few counters, single back counters that I found that are effective, but I would say the shotgun counters, and when especially going across, when you're pulling guys from the opposite side, it just is not as effective as the other runs. All right, so the new meta, which is an old meta, is the trap play. Trap is probably one of the more popular running plays getting used online right now. It's kind of replaced a lot of the other big plays. Traps are very effective. They have been in the past, but in particular this year, they're more of a more popular play because a lot of your offensive linemen will get to the next level and allow you to go ahead and carve your opponent up for some good yards. So with a trap play or a trap run, it's a run consisting of a defender on the line of scrimmage, either a defensive tackle or defensive end, getting trapped by blocked offensive linemen or back from the opposite side. So it's on one side of the center or the other. The block down of a linebacker seemingly leaving the defensive lineman unblocked. So in other words, the defensive lineman is going to come shooting in to the backfield saying, oh my God, I'm not getting blocked at all, because the lineman is actually going up to the next level. As a defensive lineman comes through the seemingly open gap, he's trapped by a weak side by a guard who blocks that defensive lineman on the blind side. And occasionally a trap block will come from a tight end. Trap blocks will come from tight ends known as wham blocks. But typically the flow starts out one way, either right or left, and then the back will receive the ball going away from the flow of the trap taking place. What we're looking at right now with this trap play is that you've got basically the guard that's pulling, and then the center and the guards might get up to the next level. That defensive tackle, and I'll try to highlight it right here, this defensive tackle should be just shooting right in, and this backside pulling guard is going to go and pick them up. Now what I've found with running these plays is you want to run on the inside of the pull guard and then try to get up to the second level where the void is at. And you can see right there, off really good blocking more than anything else. I'm trying to go ahead and run behind this guy, like as he pulls. I want to run on the inside because he's going to go ahead and pick up this guy right here. Now I want to show you this is a pretty jumbled up situation, and this offensive line does a good job. This defender did a terrible job because I was able to go and run right past him. So that could have been a play that actually got shut down based on this heavy defensive front. But as you can see, because of the way the blocking sets up and how this guy gets trapped, this defensive end gets trapped and gets taken off the ball, that allows me to go and run that ball right up the middle and pick up some pretty good yards. Once again, trap play right here. And we're going to run right behind the pulling guard and try to go ahead and take it up the next level. And here's a good example of how this play can be very effective as far as your run scheme. This is why this play is so popular online right now. I'm just going to go run behind this guy. And look at these two guys. These guys just completely whiff. And this defensive end is just like, oh my God, I've got a free shot to the running back. But hello, bam, he gets picked up. And if this defender doesn't come down and actually take on the ball correctly, I'm just going to go ahead and run behind that. And I've got this big void area that's available for me. And these guys are down 5 yards down the field, and I'm able to go and pick up a good 10 yards with the trap. So once again, a very heavy front. We just try to run inside of the pulling guard and actually cut it up. So another heavy front. Run inside the pulling guard and try to hit it up. Now that was a good example on how that pulling guard actually got shedded by the defensive end. And if you're running trap plays and the defensive end is like a stud star power, like 90 plus overall, and he's going to destroy your guard, which actually I have an elite guard over here that shouldn't get destroyed. that's going to go ahead and throw off your trap play for you. So if he gets past your guard, if your guard can't hold his block, you're going to either have to flip the trap to the opposite side, or you're just going to have to go and dump it all together. So once again, picked up, and then I'm able to pick up a good 7 or 8 yards with that. Now the good thing about using this play is that you can easily go ahead and flip it, and now you're just going the opposite direction. So it provides you some versatility with it, and it provides you the ability to go ahead and optimize your defensive line and try to get yourself out. So that's one of the advantages of using a trap, especially in a single back formation. Which you can see right there, almost actually picked up some pretty good yards. So just want to run inside this guard right here and look for the double teams up at the next level. So guys, I don't know if you're using a trap, but you probably want to consider it. It's going to give you really good blocking. A lot of the guys are going to get to the next level, take on those linebackers, so the linebackers can't shoot gaps. And it's going to allow you to pick up some pretty monster good yards. So thank you once again for your support. I'm going to go ahead and do one more of these videos. We'll take a look at sweep pitches, the draw, also jet sweep, and then potentially just take a peek at an end around and show you why it doesn't work. You should never use it in your play calling. So once again, guys, thank you for your support, and until next time.